Hello. I hope everybody is doing well today. Yeah, we have technical difficulties in the background, but we're gonna keep it chilling. We're gonna keep it rolling, and I'm so glad that y'all are here. Uh, so today, I have a special guest coming on, Miss D from H&D Abroad. She's having some technical difficulties right now, so I was like, well, I tend to talk a lot anyway, so I'll just come on here and talk until she arrives. Okay. So just in case, as she's coming in right now, I'm going to pick on her. I see you, girl. We're coming to you. Okay. So while we're waiting, while I'm just getting myself here, since I'm already here and talking, we're going to make her wait just like 30 seconds while I do my little spiel and just say, my name is Yolanda. I am Locating Cozy, and this is a broad chat. And so I am so thankful that y'all are coming on today. It is midnight. I took a half-ass nap, and now I am back and rolling. And okay, we're not going to make her wait any longer. Hey, girl, hey. Okay.
Woo! Sunday is Sunday-ing, and the sun is coming right in at me. So,
oh, wow.
I didn't think the internet was going to let me be great this Sunday.
Okay.
So I'm
internet was like,
glad.
you know what, you're going to show up fashionably late, like by 30 seconds.
Oh
Okay.
gosh, no.
Just toss the hair.
Not for my sister. I am so sorry, my love.
It's okay. It's okay. At first, I was like, what do you do? I was like, girl, talk. Okay. Okay. So did you and Herman, y'all went live yesterday? You and Herman went live yesterday, right? Or,
We were live yesterday. Yeah, that's our regular day.
I was there.
So.
Duh. Okay.
Yeah.
I did come in for a hot second. Yeah. Okay.
Bearing our soul about getting out of the U.S. as usual. So
yes. Yeah, there are some therapy sessions that be happening sometimes. You just be like, girl, bitch, oh Lord, I feel you. Okay. And that's how I felt yesterday when y'all were talking. And, because I know that you were talking as individuals and as a couple about, leaning on each other and really recognizing where the issues are. So yeah. So you're going to lean on me and I'm going to lean on you today. Let's talk. Okay.
Amen. Amen. I'm here for it. That's what the sisterhood is for sure.
And so, well, let me go ahead and just say hello to a couple of young ladies here. First of all, hello, Miss Linda. How you doing? To Kende Travels. Hey, Miss Dr. Linda. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. And hello, Aileen. I'm so happy that you're here. And I'm looking forward to, I know Rashida, because we have that little group with Rashida that we meet up after her meetings on Sundays and after her lives on Sunday. That ain't happening right now because she's off in Asia. And so I miss our meetings. Okay. And stuff. And Cheryl PhD, hi. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Hello, Christine. Beijing Alpha 4. Yes, she's here with us here and stuff. We're going to go have hamburgers this coming weekend. Okay. Yes. And hello, April Wiggins. Thank you for joining. Good afternoon in Texas. She is at 8 p.m. tonight. Who is? I'm like, I'm so lost. Who? Okay. And maybe I missed something. I'm not catching up. Girl. Okay. Yeah. I tried to take a nap. It just does not work. I was hot. Oh, Rashida. Oh, yeah. She comes on. Yeah. She comes on.
That's
It's
right.
going to be
Sunday night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. 7:00, I think. Yeah. So she's coming on late and everything. And I'm going to try to stay awake. I think I'll be down as soon as I hang up. Okay. On here. but I do miss our lives. But usually, yeah, right after the lives, there's a little chat that we go into afterwards and stuff for the members. But yes, but I have to ask, as always, I like to share and kind of put it out there. So please do share with us, Miss D, what's going on in your world?
Empty in my house. It feels like it is like the most central part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And just taking a piece, taking a corner, taking a little bit at a time. I would really like for a whole wall to be clear again, so you can see your progress. So,
Mm-hmm.
but other than that, just trying to hang in there with, work and life and being good to myself.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
Well, you know what? It's so funny because sometimes the progress is happening, but until you see that clear wall, you're like, no, nothing ain't really happened yet. Okay. The proof is in the pudding. Let me see a clear wall. So
I
yeah,
know
I know that feeling. And but then once okay, so this is just me. But then again, I did just have a one bedroom, and it was me, myself, and me. But I just remember when I let go of my apartment in Dallas, it was like this, like, oh, you got so much to get done. And then before I knew it, as I was like just going through things, all of a sudden it was actually done. And I was like, whoa. And it's like when you're actually like going through it, sometimes you don't see the clearing. But then
right.
at some point, you see this clearing, you're like, oh, I'm almost there. It's like this big epiphany that you have. Yeah. Again, I was a party of one. I don't know, it may be different.
Well, one of the things that we're struggling with is we are still going to be living here, even though we're getting the house ready for sale.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, so timing everything. Um, you know, so some things we're keeping back, some things we're selling. When do you stop living in your things and
Mhm.
and let it go? I didn't buy this house to have an empty house, but like it's just weird. It's
Yeah.
weird in this process of, okay, so if I wasn't living here, if I had somewhere else, then I could just focus on cleaning this out
Okay,
because
got you.
that's the goal, is to have it clear, but you're kind of living here too. So like we have empty cabinets, but still some things in the cabinet because I'm just like, I still use those things. I have all my plants. Yes, I'm
Okay.
still propagating. But, like, at what point do I go, it's time to let these items that are the remaining things to, clear out, when you're actually still living in a place. It's I've never had to do that before.
So what is the okay? I'm just curious. We'll get on track. Y'all know I don't stay on track. Whatever. Okay. So how does that work? And what is the cutoff for you guys actually living there? Like,
We're gonna live here even when we are showing the house, but majority of the house is gonna be clear. So
okay,
our son graduates this May. And so it'll be three of us living in the house. And so the other two bedrooms are empty now.
okay,
And then as he leaves, then we'll empty his part of the house. The garage is on its way to being empty. I have a lot of
okay.
books. So, that's not an area necessarily that we live in, but it has a lot of the things that we've kept that now we can get rid of. The parts of the house that kind of got me hung up are kitchen items because we still like to bake and still cook and things like that. So those cabinets are still full. You know, do I want to give away my bath soaps and things like that? Like, it's kind of saying, girl, you're not going to use that in the next 4 months. Let it
And that's
go.
the hard part. That becomes the hard part.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Well, I think it's time for you to have another decluttering session.
I think so. I'm looking at this television. We rarely watch TV, and I'm like, but the wall is gonna be bare if we don't have a television there. Like y'all, like I'm part homeless person, part housed person. Like it's a weird mental. And I see April. Yes, we need to have a whole declutter sisterhood because if you're right, it does feel like an endless process when you're still trying to live and then still centering the
Yeah.
progress you need to make to be out.
I'm sorry, when you just said this, I just had an aha moment with myself today that I didn't even realize related, not related. So in a couple of weeks, I am going to Madrid for a pet sit. And I pet sit for this woman before. She has this gorgeous high-rise apartment in just on the northern side of Madrid. Anyways, she told me when she first reached out and confirmed with me that she was moving or she was getting ready to move into like in the same building. She was moving onto another floor. And I was like, oh, okay, no big deal. And then I just realized just now, she reached out to me today and said, I'm moving. What do you still need in the apartment? I'm just now clicking with that. And because she said, as far as appliances, and I said, oh, I know she has an air fryer and things. And then just when you were saying, like, well, I'm not moving out yet, she was like, I just want to keep the bare necessities there. If I'm staying at your house for a week or so, I need more than just the bare necessities. Girl, I need to contact her.
Leave me
Yeah,
some
because
plates and forks, please.
yeah, I mean, and I've stayed at people's places before and stuff where that I was pet sitting where they were getting ready to move, but there was like it was a controlled, like I didn't see any kind of mess, whatever. But I just want to make sure that I'm not walking in and staying in a home for a week that has like the bed up against the wall, the mattress up against the wall, and stepping around boxes.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay.
That is kind of our reality right now. My husband wants to have house guests, and I'm like,
Oh.
do you see the house? Yes, they are teenage boys, but you gotta have. I can't invite somebody in here, girl. Like I said, we struggling.
Oh. Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, have a session. Have a session. It says so. Have one of those room sessions that you've become so well known for. I'm telling you, as I'm sitting up here just chilling. Okay, I'm like, this is what you need to do as I sit back.
You inspired me. We've had several conversations about decluttering, so
Yes, yes, definitely. So what's going on in my world is that, well, Lollipop came over last night and spent the night. So that was cool. So here's the deal. I really do value, like, I have her, every couple of weeks, she comes over, gives my daughter a break and everything. But so yesterday was the first time that I took her to, well, no, not the first time. It was like this plan, like, event like with one of the groups where you can bring your children and we're going to go out to eat and then we went to a museum and it was really, she had a great time and it was great to meet up with the other women in the community and everything, but also I don't like being around other people's kids. Okay. Like I can deal with my Lollipop, I can deal with her, but then when the other kids get involved and stuff and they got their personalities and just doing little things and stuff, I'm just like, oh, get away. So oh my gosh. It was one little girl. They were, my granddaughter was having fun. Just so happened that the little girl, she was one of the little girls that was there, was a little bit older, but she was like maybe, I don't know, she was maybe 2 years older, I'm guessing, and stuff. And they were playing stuff, and then she just turned around purposely and looked at my daughter and just coughed dead in her face and was like, and I looked at her like, look, she wasn't sick that I know of, but just the cootie
thought
factor,
of it.
yeah, they roll. I was just like, did you just cough in my granddaughter's face on purpose? Because she thought it was funny. So anyways, I again loved, and we did have a good time. The only thing was that, well, besides the fact that the kids, the only thing was that it was a get together that started at 5:15. And and then so we went to dinner. It was like they were out night owls. So we went to
Yes.
this place, and then we walked over and went to the museum. And I'm just like, this is some nighttime date stuff. Why are we out here with these little toddlers doing this? That's how they roll here.
I was
Okay.
about to say, I was really surprised. We went out, but it's not just the later hour that the restaurants open, but like where we were staying in Sevilla, there the bars kind of surround an area
Mhm.
where there's a play
Yeah.
area in the center. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally meant for you to bring your children.
Absolutely.
Bring your children with you. It's not like they need to stay home. This is family time. I,
It is what they do. Yep.
wow.
And yeah, I just
And
have to
it's
get
late, like 10 o'clock. I'm like, do you know where your child is? Remember those commercials when we were growing
yes.
up?
Yeah. Family with me out here as I sip on my cocktail and watch them play over there on the playground.
That's
Yeah.
it.
That's so it's so it's I don't want it's not weird. I think that just for me, I think I'm trying to think that may have been the first time that we've actually gone out that late for a gathering, like,
Mhm.
meant for a kids group gathering. And I was just like, okay. And so yeah. Anyways, but it was fun and I had a great time. And yeah, but I won't be doing that again. Not for a while, once a year. Okay. As far as with a group of kids. That's okay. So
Oh.
another thing I love to ask is, of course, it sounds like it's related, but it's not. But how are you locating your cozy? What are you doing that's just about you? That's
Mhm.
something that's just like, you know what? I don't care if it's 5 minutes or it's a week or whatever. It's like, what is it that you've done this week that is just about you?
I've actually done 2 things. I have centered 2 things, and one of them is something I've done throughout my life, and that's reading. I don't read books because that requires you to sit and be focused, so audiobooks are my jam.
Yeah.
And so I'm reading more books. And I feel like, as a child, I was able to kind of be transported to new places, new situations, new people, through books. And I'm finding the kind of books that I like now are really about, some of them are self-help books, like The Mountain Is You. That's one book that I'm reading. Another is, Girl, What's Really Going On with You? So being perimenopausal, like I'm reading all the books, trying to figure out what's going on. But books are enhancing my knowledge in a way that fits with my life. It helps me to kind of be a little bit distracted while I'm doing something that I really don't want to do, which is like cleaning, decluttering the house. But the other thing that I'm doing to locate my cozy is I've been working on projects, kind of last love gifts to my family before I leave. And I'm currently working on a quilt. I keep saying quilt. It's a crocheted blanket. The
Oh,
last one is for my mother. So with my aunt and um, I and ancestry.com, we've been mapping our family tree. And so for each square, which is uh, the design is a daisy
hmm,
inside of kind of like what do you call that? Like a granny square, but the image inside is a daisy. Each one
okay.
of those 50 daisies are going to be a family member. They'll represent a family member.
Oh,
So
wow.
my mom's grandparents, her parents, her aunts and uncles on both sides, and then her siblings, and then just other relatives that we've been able to identify through that family tree project. I could not have done this without my great aunt and uncle, and it's been a way to connect with them and then be preparing this surprise for my mom for Mother's Day. So I love to do things with my hands. And so, yeah, I can listen to my audiobook and crochet. So that's
some good downtime. That's
hey,
some good, like, just like time.
it's zen for me. For some people, it might not be, but I've been crocheting since I was about 8. So
And I'm a little jealous. Hold on, I'm trying to uh, put my phone. Okay. Okay. Every time I always forget to put it on mute. Okay.
I'm gonna look at mine right quick and make sure I am too.
Okay. It's like, it's like I was about to say, like, this is one of the days when I actually don't have a real, like, how am I locating my cozy? Because I come on live twice a week. I sometimes I have it, sometimes I don't. Okay.
Mhm.
But just all in all, I will share a funny story though, because just when you said we're so yin and yang right now, girl, I'm just gonna let you know this. Because I have been looking at some YouTube videos and just like as far as just trying to stay on point. I try not to go down too many discovery rabbit holes of things on YouTube, because I will just be lost forever and be like, I can't focus on nothing. But
Mhm.
one of the things was I think, and I can't remember the name of the books right now, but there have been some books that I've been wanting to possibly listen to about business. But I have Amazon Prime, of course, but I had Audibles for the longest time, and I just let it go. I think like maybe a year and a half ago, and I was like, you probably need to go ahead and get an Audible book. And I kept saying no, and literally, I think it was like Wednesday, as I was like going through and looking at my possible book list, and I'm like, no, you're not going to do that right now. Just focus on, don't do it. And then like an hour later, one of my girls had used my membership, my Amazon, to sign up for Audible. And so I just get this email and says, you are now subscribed to Audible. And I was like, hell? So I sent my daughters a message in the group chat. It's no problem at all and everything stuff, but it was just so odd that I was really deep and thought about doing this, and all of a sudden I get this email saying you are now subscribed. And so I went into our group chat for my daughters, and I was like, so who subscribed? who got the Audible and stuff? And then one of my daughters was like, yeah, I got these 2 books. It was just a trial. I didn't realize it was your account. I was like, okay, yeah, no problem and everything. So I guess that was kind of like telling me in some kind of way, do it. You need to
Well,
do it.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you why it's important to do it now. It is this week, from March 1st to March 7th, is Black Women's Writers Week. So
Okay.
I would suggest, if there is a Black woman author, I'm in a book club. We just read Octavia Butler's first book, Parable of the Sower. It's a little bit triggering considering the political environment we're in the US,
Mhm.
but it is a beautiful story where a young Black woman is taking charge of her life and is growing into her knowing and her leadership. And I love Octavia Butler. I love Afrofuturism. So
Mhm.
this is a great week to begin reading again if you haven't, but definitely to select a Black woman writer if you're going to be on Audible and choosing a book this week.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. See, we need we need that sponsorship, Audible.
We do.
How about that? Well, okay, well, let's get started. But before we do, I do want to make sure, please do make sure that you do like and subscribe and hit that thumbs up. It says that you really
Mhm.
do like the content that I create and everything I got to say, at least most of the time. And then hit that bell so you will be notified whenever I decide to go live or decide to post something or have something really, really intellectual to say. Okay. Okay. So, Dee, I know everybody knows you, but we always got to do a little introduction. Please do tell us about you.
Well, I am Dee. I currently live in the US and um, I am fertilizing the soil of my heart with travel. I am married, but I solo travel. I'm getting ready for my next trip. And I share things like, my travels, myself, care routine. And my husband and I, every Saturday at 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, share details about our progress in moving abroad this year. So that is me. I'm a lover of the little things, the details. Um, and what I'm growing in as a 50 plus woman is that the big picture matters. I want the broad strokes to matter too, because when you get caught up with the little details, you kind of miss out. And mm, I don't want to get too deep about my introduction, but yeah, managing both those details that matter, like friendship, but also the broad strokes. I want to live my life now. I don't want to wait for retirement. I don't want to wait till everything is perfect, till the money is right. I want to start now. So that's me. I'm Dee.
That's great. That's good. Yes, I like this. So, okay. So first of all, I do want to say thank you very much because, a lot of times I'll be like, well, I'm going to go live. Yeah. I now go live pretty much like twice a week. And sometimes I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And so Dee had agreed to come on and she was like, we could talk about this. And I was like, oh yeah, perfect. All right. I didn't have to think much. Okay. So today, and it's everybody's reality. And so today we're focusing on really the fact of what you can control, and learning to figure out how to be okay with that. Because the bottom line is, surprising things happen, whether you're sitting still and not going anywhere, or and if you're thinking about or talking about, leaving the country or quitting the job or whatever it is, there's going to be some unforeseen things that might happen that my goal of this conversation is to make you aware of it, hopefully give you some coping tools, or just to share on how to deal with it and understand that is not something, not having control and having things that happen that you didn't plan for is not a message saying you shouldn't do it.
Okay? Right.
Yeah. That's one of the biggest takeaways. We have a bunch of stories and experiences to share in between in this conversation, but I just want the big basis and the big understanding to be that having challenges does not mean that you should not do it. Okay. If this is what you want, if this is what you foresee, and that you want something better for yourself, or and your family, your life, it's not going to be perfect. And then at some point you just have to be like, okay, well, we just have to roll with the punches on this one. Okay. And so even with, like, for me, whether it's pet sitting, going to just going from one city to another, in Mexico had caused a little accident. It just had all these different experiences, things that just totally went out of my control. But still, I'm like, okay, take a deep breath and let's move it forward. So off the top of your head, I don't know, let's start with, because I was thinking about past, present, and future. So right now, what do you feel like maybe one of the biggest things right now that you feel like you're experiencing, that you're like, I don't know, this is a mess?
Probably what I like. Okay, let's start with what I like is having a target, honing in on that one thing, and then shifting and moving things to move toward the one thing that I've set as my goal. I've decided that this process did not need to look like that. I was like, don't you know yourself, girl? Don't you know what you feel like you need? But what the reason why I let knowing where I was going, I think I had to build in some things that are my personality.
Yeah.
But I could not get hung up with, because at the very beginning of our move abroad process, which is real top of mind for me, was trying to choose the right place, the best place. And I was just like, there are over 180 countries in the world. I mean, like, you don't know enough about the world to be able to do that. And I just felt like it was backing me into a corner. And I was like, okay, there's so many other things that you can do. That doesn't need to be what you get hung up on. Do the things. Everybody's going to have to figure out what you got a house, what you going to do with the house. While you're figuring out where you're going, you got to get rid of stuff, not just declutter. You got to get rid
Mhm.
of some stuff. You got to tell some people where you're going. You got to decide what's going to happen with your young adult son that's still at home, that is going to be a new college graduate. Those are moving pieces that are more tangible, that don't have that drop dead. But then the other piece was, I had to say, it can't be an infinity process. I can't just keep saying, well, next year, next year, next year. Okay, so I would like to build in, where it makes sense, a time frame.
Yeah.
So I feel like where I feel caught up now is um, th- continuing to trust that process, keep pressing forward, even though I still don't feel the solid ground that I thought that I would have at this point, being 8 months out. you know is it, isn't it supposed to be, aren't you supposed to be on solid footing? Aren't you supposed to know where you're going? Aren't you supposed to? And I was like, no, I know enough for right now. I know enough right now to keep moving forward.
Yes. I'm just again just having epiphanies left and right. But literally, I I belong to one of the other another group that we talk about as contracts are us, and we talk about like what we're trying to do to not have to work, have our own businesses, whether you're entrepreneur starting your own business like consulting or what have you, but just like building your own. And for me, it's like, okay, you've made it over here to Spain, but what it looks like as far as me having like a real consulting firm or consulting business where I have like a couple of clients that I have keep in the roster right now, that has not panned out the way I thought it would. And because I was so tickled because I got my first client and I was like, okay, well, this is funding me going to Spain. Bye. But when that ended, I was doing things, but I still hadn't secured the other clientele. So I still do. I work with recruiters, and I still like have my contract projects that I'm thankful for, and is very sustainable. But also, I know I'm like, this is not what the plan was. The plan was for you to secure 3 clients on your own, so they didn't have those in the rosters. Well, you know what? It hasn't panned out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I get frustrated sometimes, but I'm like, well, you're doing the things, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but somewhere in my mind, well, you need to be doing more because it's not working. And I'm like, girl, you're okay. You are literally, I mean, it's the fear of the unknown is kind of freaking me out a little bit,
Right.
but also you're okay. And the fear of the unknown right now is still far better than the crappy job that you were working at full time 2.5 years ago. The job
Exactly.
that has you stressed, like your blood pressure is still good now. It hasn't been messed up for a while. Yeah, so that's my
I just,
my
when control, in the bullet points that I pulled together for today's conversation, I spent a little bit of time saying things feel crazy because I know more. about myself and what I feel like I need to feel supported, to feel like the foundational things are in place. And so some of it is, that really is important to me. It's gone from everything is important to these things are critical to my safety, um, my confidence, my happiness, my peace. And so I'm telling you, in my 20s, it was everything. Like, you know, uh, e- e- everything had to be locked solid. And
Hmm.
I could, like you said, I would wake up in the middle of the night, throughout the night, have dreams about what I had done wrong, what I had done, why couldn't I have made, these situations work out like I wanted them to. And I was like, first of all, girl, take a deep breath. You don't have to
Hmm.
do everything all at once. And it is learning. And Yolanda, watching you say right up until the end, I trust this is going to work for me, and that it didn't click into place until it needed to click into place for you.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
then you went on, and then you have another plan on how to continue to fund while you work out and continue to do the things that are going to bring you to the place. Sometimes the timeline needs to be adjusted, but you're still working at it. And mm, seeing that as successful is something I've had to bring close to me. Is that, look, my feet are still moving forward. I haven't stopped. I didn't sit down. I didn't call it quits. You didn't go and say, I need to get a 40-hour, 60-hour week job anymore. Because you know yourself, and you like, ain't no way.
When you said that, I just cringed a little bit. I got like chills. I'm like, ooh, no. Who's that talking? Oh, stepping on my grave. No.
I know what,
Mm.
I know what I don't want while I figure out what I do.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. I that's where I am right now. That's my comfort right now, is
Mhm.
that you're not where you need to be, but you ain't back there in that crap mess. And you're okay right now to figure it out,
Yes.
to be like, you have that plan, you have that map. You're like, well, this is how it's supposed to go. Okay, psych. No. Okay.
Exactly. I,
Yeah.
having control, I think one of the tricks of having control is that I feel like, when you spend a lot of time, you do a lot of research, that makes you feel like you are in control. When you feel like, I've tried to build a 360 view. And
Mhm.
and so the more I spend time in the research, I can feel like I'm going to make a good decision.
Yeah.
You know, we're not telling people to go out there and move abroad without having some real research done out there. Is this place or is this process going to work for you and how you need to live your life, want to live your life? Get on there, find out the cost of living. Do you have community? What are the taxes? Do you have some professionals that can help you? You just
Yeah.
had your fabulous attorney on. Like, you need to have some good people in your, in your circle. You need to know a good amount so that you feel confident. I think that's where some of my confidence has come from. But I feel like I've leaned on the research, and the analysis of paralysis could also
Yeah.
take
Near to
take
you.
me where it's controlling me and not me controlling what where I feel like I have enough to move forward. I might not have all the details, but it's enough that and then I'm going to maintain my awareness so that I can bring in more. I'm going to continue to be in a sisterhood circle where
Hmm.
people are talking about, just like you were talking about the contracts are us.
Yeah.
Are you the expert on contracts? Because you decided to live that lifestyle? If you are, please let me sign up for your classes. But I mean, you're leveraging community knowledge too, it sounds like.
Yes, absolutely. And we need, even, people are like, oh, well, you've done it. It's like, I still need support. I still need that support. I still need you know, um, I need other people with me by my side that are still giving me the virtual hugs from way over, over the ocean. I still need that. Um, it's I still need that community.
Mhm.
There's different parts of my life that needs different things. So yes, I have a wonderful family here. My granddaughter's here. Get to hang out with her. I'm finding community here, but there's a certain type, like I'm not talking to the people in my Internations group about my internal struggles about finding work, because I don't need them up in my business like that. Okay.
Come on now. Come on. Everybody don't need to be in the business.
Yeah. It's like that those people are not my people for that.
Right.
So yes, I need that. And it's appreciated, and not just me taking, it's also me giving.
Yeah.
And letting other people know, letting other Black women know, specifically, that you're not alone.
Yes.
And that's why we want to talk about, because so many times we talk about, oh, it's so pretty over here. Ooh, I'm doing this. I'm pet sitting all over the world. And it's amazing. And I'm thankful that I've got this opportunity, but also sometimes it freaking sucks. Okay. There are sucky days, and there's some days when it's like, well, I thought, there's some trips that we've all gone on that has been less than wonderful, or started off with some challenges.
Yes.
Start off with some challenges. Now, I haven't been someplace where the whole trip sucked, but I've definitely had some challenges. Case in point, if you haven't heard, when I went to Mexico by myself for the first time and went on my first pet sit. I had 3 pet sits. The first pet sit that I went on, in Puerto Vallarta for a month, I went to the beautiful house and she left the key, and I could not get in because the lockbox wouldn't open. And this lady was leaving the country for a month. So yeah, I was in Puerto Vallarta, first time ever by myself, ever in Mexico by myself, and could not get into the apartment because the lockbox wouldn't open. There's no maintenance person. It was hours of craziness before I finally got in. Okay, I had to take a cab to the airport to pick up the keys, because she left them with an attendant at the airport. Crossing my fingers, hoping that this employee at the airport would actually know what I'm talking about and have the keys for me. And when I got there and I said her name and I said everything, they said, "Who?" Okay.
Oh, no.
I said the manager's name for the airline, and they said, "I don't know." Yeah. So all that to say, things can happen that can actually have you completely freaking out, and you get through them.
I'm looking at Tamika's comment. Hey, I pride myself on my research, but research doesn't give you the full picture. Getting on the ground is a
Mhm.
great way to get more information to really see if it fits. But if I come in the summertime to Spain, it's hot. You may not anticipate that it's also very cold.
Yeah. Different kind of
So
heat, different kind of cold, depending on where you're at. Yeah.
and so yeah, research has its place. Community has its place. Um, but where I feel like and thank you, Kyoka. She said, "We are not alone." Thank you, my darling. When your tribe shows up with you and
Mhm.
for you. Because Yolanda and I were texting each other when she was in Puerto Vallarta, and I was like, girl, what? When she on the airplane, she was like, we worked it out. I was like,
That was
you need your people.
craziest.
You
Yeah.
need your people with you. And there was a time I didn't value that. I didn't test the relationships that I have benefited from, because I was so much about being independent, pulling myself up by my bootstraps, girl. All lies. Ain't nobody get there by themselves. And I
They do.
love
That's
what
called
you
the long,
said.
long, long journey route.
Ain't nobody doing the long, long, long journey no more. But I love what you said. It's not just that I'm in community to get, but that in a community, there's not just an expectation, but like that's where I can give. I have somewhere to share even what didn't work, so that
Mm-hmm.
somebody else doesn't have to experience that pain. So that's right, Kyoka. You can only do so much research.
Baby.
You just analysis of paralysis is real. It's why I have sat on my new website. I have worked with Kayla, and I've just been like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to let it go. And she's like, girl, you're not gonna know if it worked unless you put it out there. So you need your community. You need folks that'll come along and say, girl, good enough is good. It's
Yeah.
excellent. It's enough. And letting letting your control be porous.
Ooh, that's good.
Another way I've been framing that is we talk about neuroflexibility, the importance of that as we get older. There are multiple ways to be successful, to achieve success in your process. But sometimes that flexibility is okay. So plan A for how I was going to do this didn't work. Yes, I have a plan B, C, and D, but if none of that, what if all that falls apart? Breathing and then being able to look around, because Black women are resourceful. That's point number. That's point number 4 for me. Is
I was just
we
about
have
to say,
done
I
the
was just
hard
literally
things
typing,
before.
have your resources, because sometimes plan A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, and 1.324 may not work out just how you plan. So just having your resources available first, because sometimes you just have to make that adjustment, make that plan, and pull resources on the fly. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yes. That means sometimes you got to call your sister and say, I missed my flight. Where's the best place to stay in XYZ location? I'm new. I don't know anybody. I'm gonna have to get in this Facebook group and see if I can make a connection to ask somebody for their driver's recommendation. Like, we had never been to Colombia. And I was like, I didn't trust these people like this, but I'm gonna need a ride from the airport. Let me just ask.
Mm-hmm.
Because, my phone wasn't working with Dee Dee there. So we had to get from the airport, and I hadn't set it up ahead of time. So I had to have a couple of doors that were open so that I wasn't in a jam. And I
Yeah.
was in a jam when I got on the ground. So like I said, different resources mean sometimes it's you're opening doors, you're identifying doors, you're opening doors, because you never know when you might need to walk through a door you didn't anticipate.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it might feel weird, especially if you're the type of person that's always like, I got this. I got to figure this out on my own. It might feel weird to open your mouth, either say it to yourself, like, girl, you need help, or to actually say it to someone else. It's like, hello, I need help. I would really appreciate help.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is so hard, especially for us sometimes. It's so hard for us to really honestly accept the fact that we need help, and then turn around, because I know somebody out here is listening to this right now being like, oh, that's me. Turn around and be like, oh, I only need a penny, when you know you need $1. Okay.
Facts.
Okay. Say what you need. Acknowledge what you actually need and not just trying to get by on. And we're not talking about somebody trying to take advantage of somebody else. That's not what we're talking about. We're
Right.
talking about acknowledging that you cannot necessarily do it alone. Yes, yes, we're superhuman, we're wonderful and all that, but also you cannot do it alone. Sometimes
Mhm.
you need to lean into the community that is there for you to give you information and to give you resources and to help
Mhm.
as much as they can. Okay.
Yep.
Not saying, do your macro and micro due diligence. Please do make sure that's, but also, again, as she said, you can only do, as Kyoka said, you could only do so much research.
Yes.
Okay.
But Yolanda, I mean, when I look at, okay, this, a lot of the things that I'm doing are new to me. I, I've I have allowed myself to have a side hustle, you know, over the years, but that was my play money. I had
Mm,
my real money, and then that was kind of my play money. Now I'm saying the way that I build my business is going to support me. That's something new. But even if it's a new thing, you've done new things before. If you haven't taken stock of your life, one of the things that Herman and I are doing is we're writing our resume from the jobs that we had at our youngest ages all the way to now, to get a grasp of all of the ways I've volunteered, all the ways I've been a leader, all the ways I've brought success for myself, for others,
mm,
all the places that I worked, and the job duties that I had no clue. I remember learning publisher with literally white knuckling it because my manager was like, "We're not
oh,
building a Word document. I want you to learn this." And I'm so glad that she forced me to learn it because it's a skill that I use up until today. But
mhm,
we've done hard. We've made we've made ends meet that weren't supposed to meet. We've fed children
mm.
when there's been rice and beans and flour and sugar in the pantry.
Yep. Yep.
We've done we've done the hard things before. It's not something that is not new to us. And when you look back, if you've never patted yourself on the back for surviving, coming through to the other side, I think we need to just sit back a minute and recognize I didn't need control to push forward. I didn't need control to create a foundation for my kids need. There ain't no money for gas and they need to get to school. And they got to school
Mm,
when I, we were having car trouble with both of our cars and our kids needed to be to school, and I found out one of their teachers lived in our apartment complex, and she took them to school until we could get the cars fixed.
oh,
It
wow.
was a humbling experience, but you know what they say, a squeaky wheel don't get oil. I mean, you gotta say something. You've got to be willing to make the adjustments within yourself.
Yeah.
And if you've been able to do that in the past, look back, you know, to make it churchy. Look how far God done brought you. Look, you didn't have supernatural power. I appreciate Black girl magic. We are not magical. We are resourceful. We
Yeah.
stand ancestrally on the shoulders. I mean, just having left Black History Month now in March, being in Black women. I mean, I'm not Black in Women's History Month. Women have overcome numerous obstacles. We have literally made a way out of no way.
When we had no options, when we had no rights. Yeah. And nobody believed. Yeah. It's oh wow. I I'm trying to I've seen so many women that have said so many times, like, I don't know. I can't do this because I don't like how I don't like that it's not easy. Maybe they haven't said it in those particular words, but as soon as they see the challenge,
Mhm.
they see it. It's like, no, I'm gonna sit here and just be still and ignore. It's like y'all did it because y'all had these. No, we didn't. Okay. Let me just say, yeah. Anybody that's saying like, oh, y'all could do it just because you got this and you got that. No, 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 no. That's not how. Don't get me wrong. There are some women, there are some people that definitely have the resources. Kudos to them. I'm so happy for you. Make no mistake. That wasn't my journey. That's not most of our journey that we can just hop up in, in a month or so and just be like, oh, okay. And I'm out and I'm going and I'm going to quit this job and I'm going
Mhm.
to leave the country and sell everything that's, or just like not sell everything, whatever the journey is. I want people to understand that the reason we're even talking about this right now is because we don't necessarily have the full bred resources financially.
Mhm.
Now, there's resources out there that we were able to utilize and get information from and put that into practice for ourselves.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And this is why we sit here and how Dee from H&D Abroad has her platform and I have my platform here where I'm sharing and talking about the experiences. But because we want you to know that giving up that controlled environment that you feel is safe may not be the best medicine in your life.
Mhm.
Um, let's talk about the job. And I know I said this the other day. I'm going to say it in a few minutes. Okay, let's talk about that job that you hold on to.
Mhm.
And income is important. Income is important, girl. I like making money. Okay. I enjoy making money. I like being able to pay my bills and eat and go out whenever I want to. And if I haven't have not been able to secure my income as a consultant full time,
Mhm.
I like my projects. I like my projects. I was finally able to step away and say I don't want to work for a company full time for one company again. That's my choice. I don't want to do that. But what kept me there was a good paycheck, and also I I was getting some good bonuses.
Mhm. Don't
I was getting
I was I our son.
okay. You just went mute.
There we go. Our son
Okay.
in the same industry that I do, and he was asking. We were talking about the golden handcuffs. So
Mhm.
the golden handcuffs are the inducements that your employer uses to bring you on board and then to encourage you to stay. And in HR, I mean, like we're very familiar with those, so that if an employee comes, that we're able to show how we are investing in them. We're trained to give at the 1 year mark, at the 3 year mark, you're vested. At the 5 year mark, your PTO is continuing to accrue faster. You get access to certain benefits the longer you stay. And I told him, he's making very, very good money, very, very young. And you have to decide, is it worth it? And what we're trying to get our kids to recognize is when you have fewer things, that tie you to a place or tie you down like debt, then it's surprising how you can look at those inducements and say this fits and this doesn't fit, versus what his my husband and I had to do raising them. We were kind of like, well, we can't move right now. It's got to be timed just right. My student loan debt, we had a mortgage, and I was just like, when you feel that tie, then you lose, you feel like you've lost your choices.
And the employers know it. The companies know it. They know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
They know what they're doing.
We put together those packages for employees all the way up to executives, around compensation. The compensation conversation is specifically structured to be able to highlight and negotiate those things that are important to employees. But when you have centered, does this bring me joy? Do I feel respected? When you have relinquished the hold that, because I feel like the whole system is built to keep you in the worker mode. And when you don't buy into those, then you can choose earlier and earlier in your life to not be a worker bee.
Yeah.
And so one of the ways that we did that for them was they didn't have any student loans. We were able to, most of them got their stuff completely paid for through, scholarships. The industries that they went into just covered most of it, and we covered the outside, and then they got with employers that had tuition reimbursement. But when the handcuffs don't work is when you have a freedom mindset.
You just reminded me. So most people know that I actually started college. I went to college when I was in my 40s. And the company that I was working for, I sat with them and I just, I asked, I just confirmed. I had heard about it when I first got hired. And then I think maybe within a year of me starting with the company, I said, I'm ready to go to school now. They were like, oh, okay, yes, go for it. Yes, get enrolled. Yes, we do have the tuition reimbursement. Here's how it works. I think within 6 months, the first 6 months, they were like, oh yeah, we canceled that program. Not grandfathered in. They were like, no, we stopped that. No, there's no tuition reimbursement anymore. Nope. Psych. Yeah. That out of my control. I'm in it now. Yes. That and I was just like, oh, okay. And stuff. And as I was going through each year, I started getting more and more pissed because I was like, you got to pay this money back. There's no tuition. They to me.
Yes.
Yeah, they want the carrot. And they were like, no. And didn't even they didn't even do who do we know right now that's at our company that's trying to better themselves? And yeah, how, can we get the list of those people that we know are in class right now or in school right now so we can actually talk to them? Yeah, nope, not at all.
Just cut the program. Yep.
Surprise.
Same happened to my husband. He was doing, what do you call that? Public administration. Girl, they get you. They're gonna get you one way or they're gonna get you the other. And it's salary and benefits. People should be, considering negotiating those, both aspects of those when you're looking to be hired. But where I feel like the first taste of it that I got for not necessarily, I'm not out here trying to get fired. So I'm trying to choose my words careful.
Careful. Okay.
But that's not a big deal to me. That when you are, I don't feel as much pressure, and I'm realizing there's some things that I can do to feel less pressure to stay or to be less fearful this environment, we're talking about control. A lot of folks in HR, which is my industry, you know, DE&I is people are losing their jobs. Human resources does not make the company money. You and I were talking about that. It is
Mm-hmm.
not a revenue generating department. And so, my concern always is could my position be cut? What does that mean for my family? What does that mean for how we're going to be able to save? I don't ever put an employer in the front seat of that discussion anymore. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you need to have something or some things that you do so that if they decide that they're not going to give you a 2-week notice, they're going to tell you, we are shutting down whatever, and you have a specific amount of time. I don't go in a tizzy because I've done my research like we've talked about before, and I haven't put all my eggs in a basket. If
Yeah.
you need to look at your life and look at what are some things I can control about my behavior, my spending habits, how I rest so that I come with fresh eyes and fresh energy. It is not a flex to have dozens and dozens of hours of PTO just sitting there. Use it.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of my ability to be able to say I don't need to be in control is that I've had some rest.
Yes.
When you feel rested, it's amazing how your body can be, your brain can be creative. And you can spend some time saying, what do I do well? And a lot of people will pay you for the things that you do well. If you are a woman of a certain age, you didn't survive out here. Even if somebody else was funding your life, you know how to, what do you thought? Win friends and influence people. You know how to do that. And that is a valuable skill. We've got to look at what do we bring to the table. How am I taking my power back?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that, when we talk about, especially the job, and for me, and my comparison was they were dangling the money, they were dangling the bonuses, and I eventually, because every time I would get my bonus, and I'd be like, "Oh, girl, oh, that was
Yes,
amazing!
yes, that bonus is beautiful.
Ooh, I got to spend this, blah, blah, blah. And then they just keep going back to treating me like crap, or just my blood pressure is still raising up. And I was like, this is like that horrible, horrible boyfriend or man in your life, or that significant other in your life that you are just waiting on that awesome big orgasm. And then they just still treat you like crap. And you just in the glory and the glow of it for like a few minutes or whatever and stuff. Just like, oh my goodness, that was so amazing. He's not the
They're
only one
still
out there. And
crummy.
that job's not the only one out there.
Preach. Preach.
He's not yet. You can get your big
Is it
O's and you
worth?
get
Is
your
it
big money
worth?
from somebody
Is
else
it
or
worth
somewhere
that
else.
occasional good orgasm? Maybe, but most of the time, no.
That ain't the only one. That is not your only source for pleasure. That horrible job that gives you that great money is not your only source for income. You just have to figure it out.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Come
Okay.
on, because when the choice isn't yours to leave, I
Mm-hmm.
reread. I reread. I went in to look up what happened to the employees at Enron.
Mm.
You got to be old enough to know. So Enron was in Texas, huge company that went bankrupt, and many of the employees, because the company's stock was something that they offered to employees,
Encouraged.
and most of the employees put 100% of their retirement savings into the company because they were going to be able to retire millionaires or multimillionaires. And when the company went belly up, so did their retirement savings. Y'all, I was in my 20s, maybe my early 20s, and just I wasn't even retirement age, and it hurt me. It
Yes, I
hurt me
remember that.
deep. And so I went back to see what happened. They interviewed some folks like 10 years or so later, after it ended. So you're talking about people that are post-retirement age. So we're talking 70s and above. What happened? Some of them had to find ways to go back to work. I mean, I'm I'm in
And then
my
if they were
early
a certain
50s.
age, you're looking at age discrimination because
Exactly. That's exactly where I was
yeah,
going. I was just like, you think I want to be out here in this job market looking for
yeah,
another job because the company that I invested in went belly up. And what wound up happening was people said, I have to be resourceful. One lady said, I never would have gotten into real estate, but because this job ended, I I was able to pivot into this new career that I'm able to do well. I was able to transfer. I saw transferable skills between the
skills.
job
Yep.
that I was doing that I could now do for myself. And I feel like, especially as Black women, we're out here making money for somebody. If they're paying you $40,000 a year, they're probably making 80 off of your effort.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So what are mm, what are the soft skills and the hard skills that you have that you can have more control over your work, your
Yourself
money?
and yes.
Yeah, because some of this you have to take responsibility for. Sometimes you have to look that person in the face and say, I appreciate you, but the door is over there. And
No, thank
there
you.
there are
I value
other ways
myself.
to achieve what you bring me sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And I just it is
Mm.
uncomfortable. It is it is not quote unquote the safest, most stable way, but you've got numerous examples around you. You trying to give a job a 2-week notice when they ready to go, when they're ready to do what they're going to do for to achieve their bottom line. They're not saying, well, this person has a child in college.
No, they
This
don't care.
person has a mortgage. That is not under their consideration. How are you looking out for yourself so that when you're in a situation, the bottom doesn't drop out because you didn't put all your eggs in one
Yeah.
basket. Same for this move abroad process. I've got my okay. If all things are equal, this is the place I want to be. But if that doesn't work, then I got this other place that I know lines up with my values, and my non-negotiables. And then I got a plan C because things can change.
Yeah.
I may need to be closer to the States. How have I secured, that opportunity to still live abroad, but I'm not back in the States because that's my new value. So
Yeah.
I feel like we can, if we are thoughtful about it, but I don't want to be so caught up in, I got to have this and I got to have that I forgot about joy and peace and centering ease and capitalizing on the freedom. I don't become your toxic boss, your own toxic boss.
Mm. Very much so. And you can do that. So you can do that. Just the point is that you know, no, we can't control everything. And and that's why I brought up what Awkward Black Nomad had said, because
Hmm.
um especially it's like I think what holds us back is the fear of making the wrong decision and
Yes.
ruining our lives or not preparing enough. So here's the thing though, and I get that completely. And also I understand that how's your life so far? How is in the big scope of things? I'm not saying that you need to go and like, just toss everything to the wind and be like, oh, let's just see what comes back to me. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, how is your life right now that has you so deep, like are you really like stressing about so many different levels or so many different factors that you have no control of?
Mhm.
There are some parts in your life that you can take control of or seek alternative, making the pivot,
Mhm.
looking to making pivots in your life that you can control. You can't control everything, but there's some things that you can be like, okay, I see where this is going. Let me see what the pivot looks like for me to make this part of my life better. Whether it's an ongoing situation or an immediate situation, because you lose control, and then we lose control of things in long term and short term. It's how we react and how we pivot to make it better.
Yep. Perfecting the pivot, not the plan. We just did.
Thank
We
you.
just did that. We just did that episode a couple of weeks ago. I want to be able and the pivot. I am not. I don't need to be the source of every new idea. That's why I read books. It's why I'm in different kinds of communities. It's why I try a thing. If I see it's working, then that's good. If I see it's not working, I'm not fearful of making a mistake. A mistake is just what you know doesn't work for you or doesn't work for you right now. But you've
Yeah.
tried and now you know that. It, look, I know I don't there's certain foods I don't like because sometimes I don't like the smell of it. What is it? Oh goodness, I'm trying to remember. It's a fruit in
Oh, Dura
Thailand.
something, Dura.
Dura, yes.
Yeah,
Girl,
yeah.
ain't no way you can convince me because I'm just like, I don't like the smell of that. But what I'm finding is different. They've made it ice cream. They've made it.
Mhm.
There may be, maybe that's not the way. Just eating it, cutting the fruit open and eating it may not be your thing. It may need to germinate, evolve into something else. But when when you put your hands in a process, that's a win. That is a success. When you manipulate it and try it in a variety of ways, y'all, that is success. Why are we fearful of making a mistake? Let me tell
Mm,
you why I was fearful. And I don't know how far you want to go with this, but
let's do it.
you know why I was fearful? Because of the folk that I had around me that I felt like would judge me for having stepped out in a way that is not um uh, where they've said this is a
It's not
good
the
job,
social
this is a
norm.
good, this is
Yeah.
and you're gonna just go out there and do this new thing and then look at you. You didn't fell on your face. Oh,
See, I told you. How dare you try to be big? I told you it wasn't gonna work.
exactly. How
Yeah.
dare you? How dare look, those not your people.
Yep.
That's what I figured out with the mistake, being fearful of the mistake, is who I had around me talking in my ear that I felt was looking in on my process from a judgy standpoint. Them not
Mhm.
your people. Those aren't, I'm
They're
sorry,
rooting for you to
those are
fail.
not your people.
Even if they're your people, they're not the people that you need to be sharing with. I understand when we say this, it's like that's not the people that you need to be sharing your dreams and goals with. Okay, find you
Hey,
some other people. Okay.
exactly. Exactly. So I just bring good people around you, try new things. I talked about neuroflexibility earlier, and what I have been studying about the brain is we have to challenge it in new ways, especially as we get older, because it builds new neural paths. And the more neural paths you have available, you can delay the onset of things like Alzheimer's. You can overcome if you have a stroke and you have additional neural pathways, then your brain has some additional ways of doing the task that it would that it now has new pathways to do the tasks that are important to your daily living. So
Mm.
learning your new language, you gonna get out there and make mistakes. Y'all, I'm not telling you stuff because I've told on my channel, I'm scared to speak in Spanish to native Spanish speakers. I was walking in Mexico City, and these two ladies had armfuls of yarn. And I was just like, where did I wanted to ask, senoritas, I don't know how to say yarn, but I could have been like, where you get that? And they could have pointed. Like,
Yeah.
if we're not willing to make mistakes, we're going to miss out on what it can do for my body, for my brain, for human connection, for learning. And we need that. We absolutely, down to the neurological level, we need to be willing to try new things. What the research that I'm looking at is saying, even something as simple as going a different way home, driving a different way home builds new neural pathways. I'm not telling you to get up and you can only do this when you're in a new city or doing something challenging like learning a new language. I'm just talking about get lost in your own city.
Yeah.
Try a new dish. Go to a different restaurant. Um, if you haven't exercised, try just walking to the end of your block and back. These are things that are important to creating the flexibility for your brain to allow new situations to come in, and that also build resilience. When you realize I can't control anything, I don't think that you are limiting yourself by realizing that. I think there's a lot of strength in realizing I can't control everything. But what I recognize for me is that I am resilient. So knowing myself, I know my strengths. I know the community of people who will say, "Girl, we here for you. We'll cheer for you. We'll be here to lift you up." I've intentionally surrounded. That's how I'm building resilience into my process. That look, everything isn't going as planned, but I'm still moving forward. I'm still putting one foot in front of the other, and that I recognize I am an overcomer. I have done the hard things. I've been able to pull resources out of the sky. I've been able to look at these doors that have been available to me that I've not used before, or doors that are open to me that I now have a reason to go through.
Mm-hmm.
These are the things that I surround myself with, because sometimes things don't go as planned. We are resilient. I as a woman, I have centuries of history, whether it's my family or just the stories of women, the stories of Black women. We are resilient. We have in our DNA the power of the divine to create. We grow these babies. We are creators. We're going to create the destiny we want. And look, I am literally a living witness. I don't know how this process is going to turn out. I am not the person today that I was a year ago today, on purpose.
Mm. Mm. Thank you
I
so
love you,
much.
darling.
Thank you. Wow, this has been amazing. Just know this. It's like pretty much in the past we have had no control. This is the most control that we have right now is by making the plan and being able to pivot and go on whatever the journey is to get there. Just don't stop. Don't stop going for it. Don't stop dreaming big and knowing that you deserve more. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us to talk for a little bit.
Absolutely. Thank
Oh my
you,
goodness.
everybody, for joining in the conversation. Y'all had some deep things to share today. I was encouraged by them too.
Oh my goodness. Y'all make sure, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, before we even go and stuff, all the links, Dee's links, her YouTube channel, Instagram, all that is in the description below. Also, please do, oh yeah, duh, make sure that you do like and subscribe. And if you are interested, we're having a meetup in April 13th to April 19th, 3 days in Madrid and 3 days in Zaragoza, Spain. If you're interested, please do the link to the Black in Zaragoza Facebook link is in the description, or you can sign up via email subscription to get more information about this upcoming event. And thank you so much. Y'all take care. Hold on, girl.
Bye, y'all.